Hey everyone, anyone out there, this is Manny Yates, and we're going to talk about the Whitney Mills case. Whitney Mills was a relatively young lady, appeared to be in good physical health. She was about 40 and unalived herself. She was a Scientologist, had achieved the OT8 level. Dr. Minkoff was her doctor, which is a bad sign to start with, and she was regularly seeing him. She requested help with mental health problems, and he did not recommend that, did not refer her to a mental health professional. That's a problem. She ended up leaving us, ended up dying. Hey, Cubs, sorry. I can't really, I'm getting a different kind of view than I normally get, and it's kind of unsettling. I'm not sure what happened with Prism, but just kind of introducing the Whitney Mills case. This was, it's a case similar to Lisa McPherson. That's a case that's better known, but this one's going on right now. She unfortunately unalived herself in the worst possible way. Yeah, happy Friday the 13th. Whitney Mills set herself on fire, and then that wasn't even successful. I can't imagine how painful that would be. Hi, Style Audit, welcome in. In addition to setting herself on fire, she somehow acquired a firearm, and we're not really sure how, but the Clearwater police are pretty sure they don't want to investigate it. So, what led up to that, Whitney Mills was asking for help from Minkoff, of all people, and he would not diagnose her or refer her to mental health professionals, instead diagnosed her with cancer. Hey, welcome in, Style Audit. Thank you for your email earlier, too. I appreciate that. I'm going to check that out, what you referred me to. Hey, Power Lies. Just getting started here, just kind of introducing Whitney Mills. Beautiful young woman who's deceased thanks to Dr. Minkoff and Scientology. There were 3 Scientologists, I believe, that were kind of her caretakers. One of them kicked her out of her own bedroom, and she was sleeping on the sofa while the Scientologist slept in her room. And they had some text messages back and forth about unaliving herself and discarding the body. Sometimes at the OT8 level, they look at that as maybe something you could do to get to the next level, which is just awful, but that tells you what you need to know about Scientology, maybe. In any event, we've got Whitney Mills. Her estate is suing Scientology, different orgs, Dr. Minkoff, and Dr. Minkoff's business called LifeWorks. Dr. Minkoff is the doctor that was attending to Lisa McPherson. That he's able to still practice is just unbelievable. After Lisa McPherson fled with charged with 2 felonies that were later, those charges were dropped, but Minkoff, his license was suspended in Florida. It was revoked in California, but they gave him an opportunity to take some classes, pay big fines, and if you could be a good citizen for a while, retain his license. And this is the result. We now have Whitney Mills having gone through agony beyond all belief. Her last months, here with us were awful. Dr. Minkoff diagnosed her with cancer when she did not have cancer, with Lyme disease when she did not have Lyme disease, and or so it appears from the pleadings, and did not refer her to mental health professionals. There's some text messages in this amended complaint. I put them on my community page. This is not a good way to do pleadings. This is not a clinic on how to do pleadings. However, this attorney seems to be trying to help get the message out about Scientology. So Whitney Mills asked Dr. Minkoff for help with their mental health problems. And he begins, this is a medical doctor. He talks about tone 40 and LRH and those kinds of things, and refuses to get her the mental health help that she needs. So, we end up having Whitney Mills deceased. And so this case then begins. The state filed the complaint against LifeWorks, Dr. Minkoff, and Scientology, and amended the complaint. Scientology has asked for time to file an answer, extra time. The Scientologist attorneys said that they knew that another amended complaint was going to come out. Despite that, Whitney Mills' other adversary, Minkoff and LifeWorks attorney, is now asking to dismiss the complaint versus Minkoff and LifeWorks. So if they're successful, the case would still go on towards Scientology, but probably it would be a real problem for them. I would think that they want the insurance company for Minkoff to settle, so they have some cash to proceed to go forward. I'm not totally sure, but that's my guess. Now, one thing that Whitney Mills attorneys did is they filed 3 medical expert reports, and they these are negligence claims. And so the 3 medical experts explained how it is that Minkoff screwed up. And I think so that's what this is. This is also probably improper to file, but now, because this isn't evidence that was admitted by the court. And I did a live stream featuring these, but you've got three different medical professionals, and they describe how Minkoff screwed up. Effectively, he didn't ask for an MRI with and without contrast, and I couldn't really tell you what that is because I'm not a medical person. He also didn't, misdiagnosed Whitney Mills with cancer, and you're going to see why that was such a big problem. And then refused to get her mental health help. Those are effectively the ways where he screwed up. There's other ways, but those are the main ones. And by falling below the standard of care, that was negligence, and it resulted in extreme harm. We have this young lady who's deceased now. The perception rundown, is supposed to handle a perception reality and internal mental custodian. Yeah, so that's what happened. The perception. So they're not real big on mental health in Scientology, So we have this motion now filed by the defendants Minkoff and LifeWorks. LifeWorks is his kind of alternative medicine business. There is a place for alternative medicine, but this wasn't it. This was not it. Especially, for example, one of the facts in this case, Minkoff asked Whitney Mills, on a scale of 1 to 4, could you describe how bad the pain is in her head? And she said it was a 5. So that would have been a pretty good indication that she had some real problems. But that was ignored. Hey, Scooter Mom, welcome in. Just getting started here talking about the case with Whitney Mills. And so this is Minkoff, Dr. Minkoff, and his business filing a motion to dismiss. So this is how we're getting started. By the way, we're in Pinellas County, Florida. Okay, Pinellas County, Florida. So this is page 1 of their motion to dismiss. Now, sometimes you screw up a cause of action, the pleadings, maybe you just make a mistake. Courts are not necessarily looking to just get rid of your case. And this kind of motion is really designed for crazy stuff. People file all kinds of weird stuff with courts. Since Scooter Mom is here, I'll pick on her. Everyone knows that we all love Scooter Mom, so there's no problem. But if I said Scooter Mom filed, something with the court, Scooter Mom wore a blue shirt yesterday, I deserve $1 million, like, how do you even defend against something stupid like that? It's not even a case. You know, Scooter Mom could file a motion like this saying, even if you believe everything that Manning 8 said, you know, this isn't the kind of thing that makes him deserve $1 million. But in this case, we have a relatively young woman who is deceased. And Minkoff was her attending physician. They had a doctor-patient relationship. And she asked for help, and he charged her money. So there's a duty of care. And we've got 3 medical experts who say his level of service fell well below the standard level of care. So this kind of motion is not really probably appropriate. And that's going to be the first thought that the court's going to have. Like, you know, we actually have someone who really is deceased. This isn't Manning 8 saying, you know, I deserve $1 million because Scooter Mom wore a blue shirt. But keep in mind, we are in Pinellas County, okay, Florida. So this is how this motion to dismiss, seeking extreme results here. They're asking the court to throw away Whitney Mills' case. And so this is how they start, right? Here's like the first page, and they spelled the court's name wrong. It's the Circuit Court of Pinellas County instead of but they write Pinella. So how much time did they spend on this? You know, not much time. You're going to see that Minkoff's attorneys here I don't know if they're just trying to soak up some cash from Minkoff or what they're doing, but they're seeking to, you know, end Whitney Mills' case, and this is how they started, by getting the court's name wrong. All right, so let's delve into this a little bit. Keep in mind, Scientology is Scientology, okay? So this is a motion to dismiss. And there's the way legal matters are handled, you have an issue, and then you cite a rule, and then you do an analysis and a conclusion. They call it IRAC in law school. So the issue is whether or not we should dismiss, the court should dismiss this case against Dr. Minkoff. And so they're citing the basic rule here, which is, according to this Greenwald court, the complaint must set forth the ultimate facts which demonstrate entitlement to a relief. Okay, so in order for Whitney Mills to withstand the motion to dismiss for failure to state a cause of action, her complaint has to set forth facts which demonstrate entitlement to relief. Now, I happen to have a Greenwald case here. I figured Scientology would Scientology, you know. So here's the Greenwald case that they're citing for that proposition. And it's only one piece of paper. In order to withstand a motion to dismiss or failure to state a cause of action, a complaint only has to state enough facts to indicate that there could be a cause of action here. That's a little bit different than what Scientology just said, right? Scientology is trying to tell the court they have to set forth these facts which demonstrate entitlement to relief. The real rule is only enough facts just to indicate that there could be this possibility of relief. So Scientology is going to Scientology. That's how they're starting their case, by spelling the court's name wrong and then kind of twisting this Greenwald case around a little bit. Some courts are going to be pretty upset already at Minkoff. I don't know this court. I don't know the judge or the clerks, but that's the way we're getting started here. So there's 3 reasons that they're saying here that they have that the court should get rid of Whitney Mills. But then they add a couple extra, so they're not very good at counting either. Okay, so the first 2 counts, and again, this is just, Scientology is not, itself isn't part of this. This is just Minkoff and LifeWorks. And they're saying broad allegations of vicarious liability to unknown and unidentified persons. So, you know, one of the problems with Florida is it's a fact pleading jurisdiction instead of notice pleading. So you're supposed to plead some pretty good individual facts. So count 4, you'll see, is for Minkoff. And so there, it's kind of broad and not clear. That's what Scientology is saying, or Minkoff, the Scientologist. The second one is kind of similar to the first one. It's obfuscating, which means we're trying to make it unclear the negligence. Keep in mind, this was a negligence case. You know, the medical opinions. I presented that in a previous update video. You know, they all show how Minkoff screwed up by providing a level of care below the standard. So they're saying, you know, you're kind of mixing and matching some things. And then the third one is, according to the Wrongful Death Act, you have to name the purported qualifying survivors. So Minkoff is telling the court there's 3 reasons why you have to dismiss the case, but as you'll see, it's more like they come up with like 5 or 6. So Minkoff, well, this should be signed style audit. Should be signed. In any event, you can go to the Pinellas. You can always go to the Pinellas County Court to look at this yourself. Here you can see Kyle Fontaine. I don't know anything about Kyle Fontaine, but that's the attorney. Just to answer your question, style. Hey, Jen from another planet. Welcome in. Okay. All right. So, argument 1. The two counts directed towards Minkoff and LifeWorks broad allegations of vicarious liability. Okay. So, I highlighted this in advance when I was at work today. Hopefully my boss won't find out about that. A complaint in a medical malpractice action is required to specifically allege vicarious liability for each alleged agent or employee by setting forth ultimate facts, establishing any basis for vicarious liability. And there's another case that they cited, but that case cites Goldschmidt. So this is the Goldschmidt rule that they're trying to apply here. And as they say, a complaint in a malpractice action, you have to allege the vicarious liability for each agent or employee by setting forth, you know, ultimate facts. Happen to have the Goldschmidt case here. So that's not 100% true. Here in Goldschmidt, someone did screw up. However, you can, at the end of the trial, assuming you make it that far, you can ask the court to amend the pleadings to conform to the evidence. So just as an example, it could come out during someone's testimony that they committed fraud or something like that, and you didn't have that in your pleadings. So you can ask to include that now in your pleadings and to conform those pleadings to the evidence that just came out. So it's still possible to have a good case, even though maybe you didn't plead that to start with. So Goldschmidt doesn't really say what Minkoff is saying it says. So now we've got a couple misstatements, plus you spelled the court's name wrong. You know, but you do have to, you know, plead that in the complaint. And, you know, if you don't, at least in one other case, because they didn't plead it and they weren't able to conform the documents after trial, you know, that person wasn't able to get relief for that alleged problem. So here, I'm going to show you, this is Whitney Mills' amended complaint. So count 4 is medical negligence against Minkoff. So count 4 is just Minkoff himself. And you're going to see they include everything they already said. We're sort of at paragraph 164, so rather than just restating everything a bunch of times, they're incorporating everything they already said. So for Minkoff, Minkoff owed a duty to the decedent. That's just a nice word of saying that Whitney Mills is dead because of Minkoff, of course. So they have a doctor-patient relationship. So that there's a duty there. Okay, he has a duty to provide good care, the kind of care that other doctors would provide in the same situation. Now here's where he wrote, they put in the pleadings he had some agents, employers, employees that could have been done better. They include this nurse Morgan. So he had a duty of care. The pleadings say Minkoff breached the duty of care by failing to exercise the level of skill, care, and treatment that other doctors would provide. And they're specifically indicating for example, he didn't really consider this the suicide risk, even though Whitney Mills in her text messages was really indicating that she was probably at risk. He asked her what rate your pain, your sort of mental pain, and on a scale of 1 to 4, and she said it was a 5, so that should have been an indication right there. But the medical experts, have 3 reports. We'd spent an hour on them, so I can't do that again. But if you want to go back and look at the other video, I still have it on the channel. So he failed to recognize the suicide risk. Yeah. So we're showing how he screwed up. Oh yeah, and then he diagnosed her with Lyme disease when she didn't have Lyme disease. That's kind of a screw up, because he was thinking she had Lyme disease instead of being suicidal, and she was saying she was suicidal. Hello. And then so this gives you an indication that maybe Minkoff screwed up, right? I mean, he had a duty of care, failed to live up to that duty of care, misdiagnosed her with Lyme disease. He ignored the suicide risk. He also diagnosed her with cancer, which we'll see how bad that was. Now, this count 5 though against LifeWorks. This Minkoff and Dr. Morgan, or Nurse Morgan, are the only people that we hear about. So there may be some other employees in here who screwed up, and if that's the case, that isn't really listed in here. But I think we're just kind of focusing on Minkoff and this one nurse. This nurse Morgan's an APRN. It's a pretty advanced type of nurse. It's not a low-level person. So because of Minkoff's negligence and Morgan, I think they want to include LifeWorks. But other employees that LifeWorks has were not mentioned. So that's why they're going here. But even if you thought LifeWorks maybe should be dismissed, certainly there's a good case pled against Minkoff. Power lies. You're absolutely right. That's exactly right. But we're building up to that. That's the ultimate result. But we're getting there. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to warn you that the facts are going to get really brutal at the end here. Just for warning. But keep in mind, we failed to recognize the suicide risk, and did misdiagnose her with cancer and Lyme disease. Okay, so they want to get rid of Whitney Mills' case. They're saying dismissal is appropriate when a complaint just contains conclusions not supported by allegations of facts. And you're citing this case. Well, let's go take a look at that case. Trigger warning, yeah, you got it screwed around. But I'll warn you again when we get right to it, what I think could be really, really bad. So this case that they're citing, this short case, there was I'm assuming a young student, like in grade school, was crossing the street to get to school when she got struck by a car. And so, maybe there's a duty to warn people about a risk that's like outside of your property. Not really clear. Law's kind of fuzzy on that, right? Because like the school doesn't really own the street, and whatever it's across the street, the student never made it to the school. So the party has to plead sufficient facts to demonstrate a foreseeable zone of danger or a duty and a breach of the duty. In this particular case, this particular person did not plead any of that. Didn't address anything, even when given a chance to amend a complaint and redo it. So this particular case was dismissed. But there's no. But those facts are distinguishable here, because with LifeWorks and Minkoff, Whitney Mills went to them and gave them money, and they were, practicing medicine with her at their spot. It wasn't like she called them up and they said, yeah, come on over, we'll treat you, and then she got in a car accident on the way. I mean, they caused the damage themselves, so that's not really a great case. And so far we've got them citing 2 cases that don't really say what they say it says, and then another one that doesn't really apply, arguably. So yeah, dismissal if you didn't include any real facts or discussion of what's going on, then maybe a dismissal is appropriate here. But this case really is a different kind of case than what Whitney Mills has. Also, we just looked at the facts outlined for Minkoff. There was a doctor-patient relationship. She went to Minkoff and LifeWorks. She paid them money. He had a duty of care. He fell below the duty of care. We've got 3 medical experts who submitted reports on that. But there were some facts in here that indicated that, like, for example, the Lyme disease, misdiagnosing her and ignoring the suicide risk. So that's pretty easy. What we aren't sure about, though, is it's this count 5 versus LifeWorks. There's only 2 employees that we know about, and that's, well, really only one for sure is Minkoff, but that's enough. Minkoff is the one who really screwed up. And there's some mention of this nurse, Morgan, but yeah, any other employees, if they did something, I don't think that Whitney Mills could recover for that, but we're just trying to recover for what Minkoff did. Minkoff killed her. Yeah, I don't think he would have treated her at all. Now, the thing about alternative medicine is insurance companies won't really cover it very well. So you need to have access to a lot of money in most cases. So that's kind of going to affect who comes in for treatment. We've got a couple clients that we work with, husband and wife doctors, and they kind of turned to alternative medicine, and they were talking about this one day, and I thought it was kind of interesting. Because insurance companies, they only cover like 15 minutes of a consult, but they said they need like an hour, 2 hours to talk to people about alternative medicine. There is a place for it, but Whitney Mills got involved with Minkoff because of Scientology, obviously, and also because she had obviously access to some money to pay for it. Okay. So we've got, that count 4 against Minkoff, where we pleaded the elements and some facts. For LifeWorks, it's not as clear. I mean, there's only 2 employees mentioned, Minkoff and this Morgan. So that's not as strong. But again, if Minkoff is an employee of LifeWorks, and that's what we have here. So I'm going. This is the complaint from Whitney Mills, from her estate, and so Minkoff and Morgan were employed by LifeWorks, and they're acting within scope of their employment. So long as Minkoff is shown to, fall below the standard of care that a reasonable doctor in the same or similar situation would provide, and he's acting within the scope of his employment, that's probably enough for a vicarious liability, but this isn't the kind of work I do, so I can't be 100%, but any other employees who are not mentioned, if they contributed in some way, then whatever they did, whatever kind of damage they may have added, I don't think you could recover for that, but we're worried about, Dr. Minkoff murdering through his stupidity, Whitney Mills. That's what we're trying to recover from. Oh, sorry about that. Oh, there's a lot more comments I didn't see. Hey, Scientology Geek, I still owe you something. I'm trying to work on it. I'll email you. Okay. Well, I think if Minkoff is doing alternative medicine, I don't think he's probably billing Medicare very much at all. Okay, so the second supposed claim is this commingled causes of action. You've got Minkoff, who separately is responsible, but also he's an employee of LifeWorks. I guess. Apparently he doesn't own LifeWorks, because otherwise he would be a partner and an owner, not an employee. But we've got, the complaint states pretty clearly what Minkoff's negligence is, that he failed to recognize the mental health risks, and he misdiagnosed her. That's all the negligence we need for Minkoff. LifeWorks is a little less clear, and you've got they use some dumb language here. They threw out, agents, employers, employees, apparent agents. That could have been done better. But, count 4 was just Minkoff by himself. And again, if Minkoff is working within the scope of his employment at LifeWorks and he kills someone, then that may be enough. But so the court will have to decide on that one. But I think they should be all right. But if there's some other employees like Fred and Janet and Tommy, we don't see anything about them. And so any other employees who hurt Whitney Mills, he wouldn't be able to recover, because it's not mentioned anywhere. Okay. All right, and then the third one here. Oh. For negligent supervision. So presumably Minkoff is doing some supervising, but perhaps LifeWorks needs to supervise even Minkoff and everyone else. They're quoting this Hardy case, and in Hardy, this is a case versus a government entity that kept going on to someone's property, and they didn't apparently report it. And so what you need to do in that kind of case is show that you reported it to the employer, and then the employer didn't take any corrective action, and that would be the negligence on the employer. But I think that case is misplaced. Here's Hardy, by the way. So the defendant is a state actor. So in some employer cases, the employer you have to show that the employer knew and failed to take actions. But I think what we have is for vicarious liability, an employee, Minkoff, who acted within the scope of his duty, and there was a duty of care owed to Whitney Mills, and that should be enough. But we'll see what the court says on that part of the case versus LifeWorks. Okay. So this was the Wrongful Death Act. So this case here is brought by, obviously, Layla Mills, I'm not sure how I'm going to pronounce that, as personal representative of the estate. And so they're saying that we have to get rid of Whitney Mills' case. Apparently the Wrongful Death Act says you need to state who all the beneficiaries are, everyone who would recover. So you have Layla Mills, the estate of Whitney Mills, and any other survivors or individuals entitled to recover as a matter of law. So this is how Whitney Mills' attorneys pled the case in the complaint. And so Minkoff's attorneys are saying, well, you didn't really list who these people are, so the case has to go away. But the thing is, they're saying any other survivors as a matter of law. So this isn't a fact pleading situation. This would be as a matter of law. In other words, the law says that for sure they get to share in the recovery. So I don't think they need to be. It's not something subject to, a fact determination. It's Layla Mills and the estate of Whitney Mills. But we'll see what the court says on that. As a proposition, I mean, keep in mind, kicking out someone's case, especially when you have someone who suffered as badly as Whitney Mills, I can't even imagine, honestly, setting yourself on fire, to be in that kind of pain, that was what you turned to, is really extreme. And to throw out a case like that really is extraordinary. So complaints drafted in such a manner that each succeeding count incorporated by reference. So remember I showed you that they, at the beginning of each count, they kind of repeated all the stuff they had in the previous parts of the complaint. The complaint's like 70 pages long. Reference not only the paragraph, so some of it may not be relevant that you're incorporating by that one sentence, incorporating by reference. But also the paragraphs containing each of the preceding counts are improper and subject to dismissal. So they're citing this one case, right? We killed this woman, but you have to kick our case out of court because of this reason. I mean, so you better have a damn good reason, right? Well, I happen to have that case right here. And, they have like a lot of cases that are only like one piece of paper. It's kind of interesting. By the way, this is a really extraordinary remedy they're asking for. Normally you would have 3 or 4 or 5 cases. You would call it a string cite. You would just list Smith versus Jones, A versus B, C versus D, E versus F. But they only have one case every time, right? Finally, we feel constrained to address the pleading practice. Okay, so the case is already decided. The whole case is already decided. This is what they call dicta. This is just like the court going out with you for a beer afterwards. And they're like, hey, his style on it. Finally, we just feel constrained to address this practice. We're just going to talk to you, off the record a little bit here. The complaints which preceded the Third Amendment complaint were drafted in such a manner that each succeeding count incorporated by reference not only the paragraphs contained in the complaint's preliminary allegations, but all the paragraphs in each of the preceding counts. Such is improper. Hey, such is improper. It's like they're just having a beer with you, just telling you what they think. This practice is unnecessary to the trial court's efforts to determine the facial validity of the various causes being asserted, and serves just to confuse and delay. In other words, the court already decided everything it had to decide right here. This is just the court having a beer afterwards. It's called dicta, and it's not part of the decision. Okay? It's just the court complaining. Wow, our job's really hard, man. Someone made some bad pleadings. We had to read for longer than we wanted to. That sucks. I hate it when people do that. That's what dicta means. So you can look it up. Dicta is like a thing. You can cite it, but what that means is Minkoff's attorneys have jack shit. This is what they're citing. Just the court complaining about something. It wasn't even part of the decision. as a proposition to get rid of Whitney Mills' whole case. They're like, yeah, you know, court complained one time, so throw out Whitney Mills' case. We killed her, and she's suing us, but just throw out her whole case because the court kind of complained one time that, you know, sometimes people don't do their pleadings as well as they'd like. So throw the whole thing out. To get this kind of remedy, you would want to cite 4 or 5 Florida Supreme Court cases. But obviously those cases don't exist, so this is all they have. Scientology, you, and Minkoff are not going to be very successful with this, okay? This is not good. This is not good lawyering right here. Okay, what they're doing is they're making the court really, really upset. And it just, remember, when we started here, they spelled the court's name wrong because it's the Circuit Court of Pinellas County. That's how they started it. Almost every single case they're citing, they get it wrong. Like what they say the case says doesn't really say that. You know, and when you're asking to get rid of a case, a woman that's deceased because of you, you better have really strong documentation, and it isn't here, folks. It isn't here. Okay, so now, remember they said there's 3 reasons to get rid of Whitney Mills' case? Well, so they already got through the 3 reasons. Now there's more. So, like, they can't even count right. I mean, it's just... I'm glad they're doing a bad job, but, you know, if anyone kind of panicked because someone was trying to get rid of Whitney Mills' case, I want to quell those fears because they're not doing a very good job. And it might, I mean, maybe it was just to soak up another $5,000 or $6,000 from Minkoff by turning in something at the court. And I can say, yeah, see, we did all this work for you. Here's our fee. But I don't know. But this is pretty terrible. And all I can do is just show it to you. It's mind-blowing. Okay, so anyway, they said there's 3 reasons. Here's reason number 4. Compounding these pleading deficiencies, a number of documents are inexplicably and confusingly attached to the complaint. Oh my God, extra documents. No, not that. So these are the documents. We went through this before in the other video. So these are the medical expert. There's 3 medical experts, and they explain how Minkoff screwed up. You know, as a medical expert can explain it. Oh yeah. So here's, dang. I just printed it so I can have a nice copy. Is there anything else for the mental part? That's what Whitney Mills asked Minkoff. I'm seriously experiencing some mental illness. This is my biggest symptom, is the mental part. So the medical doctor, Dr. Minkoff, says, got it. Drugs can numb you, but you are OT. Put TRO in. It's a sensation, it's noise. It has no power over you, that's the truth. I, the tiger, you are loved. You have friends in LRH. Rah, rah, rah. That was the care that Minkoff provided when Whitney Mills begged for help with mental health problems. And they want to throw out the case, and they can't even come up with any good reasons why the case should be thrown out. You know, it's kind of upsetting. So here they are complaining that these documents were included. It's not. So the attorney for Whitney Mills obviously is trying to kind of get the word out. So we're gonna help him get the word out. Those documents are not admitted into evidence right now, but you know, and Minkoff could hire his own medical experts, but I don't think that he's going to be able to find experts who are really convincingly saying something opposite to what those reports said. But that was like an hour-long video. We went through all 3 of them, so you can check that out. You know, if you're interested in really looking at it in depth. So they're citing a court rule: no documents shall be annexed as exhibits. Oh, look, they have a case. So the 5th District of Court of Appeals. So the appeals court, if it tells the trial court to do something, then maybe the trial court has to do it. You know, I mean, it's worth citing it if you've got a good case. So they're saying here, they affirmed a dismissal of account when the document was incorporated, when the document was not one on which that count could be brought. So, you know, maybe like a billion-year contract, throwing that in would be totally inappropriate. But these medical experts, you know, their opinions are going to be part of the case. I mean, that is the case. You know, how did Minkoff screw up? How did his care fall below the standard of care? Yeah, thank you, Style. I appreciate that. Because I don't do med mal, so. So again, we want to get rid of Whitney Mills' case, right? We killed her, and let's get rid of her fucking case. And here's the whole case, okay? This is, I didn't just like copy and paste a couple of paragraphs. This is literally the whole case. We previously held that a second amended complaint should not be dismissed. Can you guys see that? Because maybe I'm reading it wrong. It should not be dismissed with prejudice, where a cause of action can be gleaned from the pleading. It should not be dismissed. This is the best that Minkoff's attorneys can come up with. This is what Whitney Mills' attorney would provide, right? Like if I was representing her, I'd be like, well, you know, here's what the appeals court says. It says a second amended complaint should not be dismissed if you can figure out what the cause of action is. Yeah, thanks, Scooter Mom. That's the best that they can come up with. That's their proposition for dismissing a case when the court says don't dismiss it. It's just unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. Oh, and then here's also, see, this is a case from 1936. Don't worry, I happen to have it. Scott versus City of Venice. So this was a contract for land, and if the seller reneges, there's something called specific performance where the court can force them to sell you the property. So sometimes what you can do is just strike an exhibit. I just want to point that out. So you could just file a motion to have that exhibit thrown out because it's improperly included right now. That's it. Oh, yeah, by the way, another one-page case. So that didn't help them. And the other case that they cited, actually, right? The other case they cited said that basically Minkoff's lawyers are wrong. You should not dismiss it. That's what they said. You just saw it. I just showed that to you. So they've got, I mean, they have no cases they can find. The law is not what they think it is. I can't even, they're like sleepwalking through this case. So they said there's 3 reasons to dismiss the case, and now they came up with 4, you know, the 4th one being the fact that those exhibits were included. And you know what? The court said no, that's not why you would not dismiss the case for that. Okay, and then okay, so this is where okay, plaintiff improperly filed as an exhibit the medical opinions. So they're going on and on with this, like they're just going to go down with this ship. Oh, and so now they already screwed up with Minkoff. Now they're trying the same argument with LifeWorks because you know they weren't real. They could have done a better job making it clear who the employees were and what each person did wrong. So they must be dismissed for failure to verify these claims. I have to have that case too. Although the affidavit could have been more detailed, we cannot conclude the trial court departed from the essential requirements of the law when denying the motion to dismiss. But, you know, if you've got an affidavit that addresses, you know, nothing that the nursing staff did wrong, then maybe ask the nursing staff that has to be dismissed. So, you know, here's another case, basically like one piece of paper that really doesn't support them. So, they're kind of out of arguments now. But they said there was 3, instead they come up with like 5. And the cases they submit in support of throwing out Whitney Mills actually kind of support keeping Whitney Mills' case in court. That doesn't happen very often, so it's extraordinary. But it's Scientology, and Scientology is going to Scientology. Now, this is the part where it might be disturbing, and you know, and what I'm going to do, just in case you guys are just here for the drawing, I'm going to do the quick drawing. This is for the sign, so whoever wins, Cubs is disqualified, and I'm disqualified. Our names are not part of this. This is for the sign, and whoever wins, just give me your address where you want it to be mailed or FedExed. Okay, so JRP Scott, you are the winner. And then we'll do just a runner-up, just in case. First alternative. So this will be the second person if we don't hear from JRP Scott. Oh, Rika PDX, I know who that is. So Rika PDX is number 2. So if we don't hear from JRP Scott, then Rika PDX will be the runner-up, and we'll send it to her. So if you know JRP Scott, please ask that person to just send me an email, and we'll get the sign out. But I have to get Cubs to sign it. Cubs, if you're still in here, yeah, you are. Yes, Scooter Mom has been the best mod for sure. And then Rika, I know how to get a hold of her. I have her email already, but JRP Scott was the first one. So, okay, thank you very much, everyone, for that, for giving your entries and your names. Yeah, okay, good, Cubs. Yeah, we'll have to just meet up with Cubs. He'll sign it, and we'll get that to the address that someone wants to specify. Okay, now here is the tough part, the really tough facts. Despite the Minkoff's attorneys saying it was improper to include those medical records or medical experts' information in their reports, we get some medical records here, and they're kind of tough. They're kind of tough. You know, I'm going to be honest with you. Keep in mind, Minkoff it appears he misdiagnosed Whitney Mills as having cancer. Okay, that's bad, right? That's pretty bad. And that's, you know, if you were already having some mental health problems, you know, that's going to maybe throw you over the edge. I saw this. I thought it was a typo. So, you know, we know that Whitney Mills had this cyst, this ovarian cyst. I thought maybe it's something like a pencil eraser or something like that. And this is 21 by 16 centimeters, not millimeters, centimeters. I had no idea that we could have something that big. That's like a third of the size of this piece of paper, roughly. Eyeballing it. A cyst that big in your body. And yeah, I mean, it's beyond huge. It's almost like Guinness Book of World Records huge, I would think. And Minkoff tells her it's cancer. How's that going to affect someone? I mean, do you think you even have a chance of surviving that? That could just put you right over the edge. Yeah, she must have been in serious discomfort. And those text messages weren't even addressing that as much as her, the sort of the mental health issues that she had. And this contributed to it in a way that I can only imagine. And they did this to her, and then they asked the court to dismiss the case. And you saw all those cases. I showed them all to you. Everything they cited, it seems, doesn't really even support throwing out the case. One of them even said they're not going to dismiss the case. Yeah. So there were these MRIs with and without contrast is what the medical experts were saying that Minkoff should have ordered, and he didn't do that. So you know that maybe was a big part of getting this wrong. Just, you know, it's just unbelievable. You know, and you would think they're probably having, I would think they're having settlement discussions, you know, about this. So the, you know, and all of this stuff is like, I didn't like hack into the court's website or anything. You go to the Pinellas County Circuit Court. You can get all these documents yourself. So you've got, yeah, okay, so style, you know a little bit about that. I don't, but that's not what they did here. They didn't do with and without. Yeah, so here's the second, you know, a second report that references that cyst. I mean, that's just enormous. There's like no part of your body you would want something to be that big, you know, inserted. And then you're told it's cancer. It's just unbelievable. And this is what Minkoff is like submitting, like he thinks this is going to help him. You know, it's like all these cases they cited that don't really, like one-page cases that don't do what they say they do, and one case says don't dismiss. So I mean, they're beyond desperate. Oh, and here's, in one other place, they complained that Whitney Mills' attorney was picking on Scientology, pointing out Scientology for no reason at all, and yet here's a document. Can you? So this is Whitney Mills' medical records, and it shows it, you know, Scientology, and this is submitted by Minkoff's attorney. Scientology. That's what Scientology. Oh, looks like maybe she had Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance for some of it. So I don't think that they're going to be successful getting this case. She was 40, dismissed. There's, you know, that's an yeah. You know what? I don't know. Style, I don't know. But I see the size, and they measure, you know, however they measured it. Maybe they can do it with sound waves or something. I don't know. Yeah, okay, perhaps. No, I think this is when she was still alive. This was still when she was still alive. But the autopsy determined that, we don't have the autopsy report, but the autopsy did determine that it was not a cancerous cyst. Oh, Amy, thank you. You came in at a good time. Amy is a nurse, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, you might be able to appreciate this, but in a way that I cannot. So you can welcome in, Amy. So these are, you know, we're just going through the case here for Whitney Mills and Minkoff's attorney is seeking to have the case thrown out. Cited a bunch of cases that were one-page cases. We went through them all here. They really didn't support Minkoff at all. And this is like the best Minkoff could come up with, right? Like if I was representing Cubs, he'd probably get the electric chair. So that's why I'm not. That's why I'm not. But if I'm citing cases, I'm going to cite like 4, 5, 6 cases. They were citing one, and in one case, it wasn't even the case itself. It was just something the court said afterwards. Another case said the opposite, that they shouldn't throw out the case. Yeah, exactly. She must have been in horrific pain, absolutely horrific pain. And then with the kind of pain and pressure that must cause something that big, then you're told it's filled with cancer. That's unbelievable. That's just unbelievable. So I'm sorry I hope no one has like nightmares now because of this. I did try to warn you. So it looks like they were at one point they were planning to I think try to remove it, but I think at that point Whitney Mills decided she was gonna just couldn't live with it anymore. And so so they diagnosed her with Lyme disease instead of mental health problems. I shouldn't laugh. I mean, it's not funny, but it's just unbelievable how bad a job they did. Yeah, I can't think of anywhere you could put something that size in your body and not be in immense pain. It looked like she looks like she tried smoking for about a month. Anything. It looks like she was willing to try anything. So I'll go back to the complaint. So this is this is the complaint that Whitney Mills estate filed, and this is an amended complaint. And so in the Scientology which is not part of that motion dismissed, they're saying they already know another amended complaint's coming out. With more than one? Oh boy. I'm so sorry to hear that, Scooter Mom. So this one here, I can't. So these are I've got the full color text messages for some of these, but so this was I read out the text messages in text form, but here's what the text message actually looked like. So Whitney Mills is asking for help, and I don't know if you can see that says that's Minkoff's. I don't know if you can read it. It says Minkoff here. So this is Whitney Mills and Minkoff. Got it. Drugs could numb you, but you're OT. Put TRO in. It's a sensation. It's noise. It has no power over you. In all caps. That's the truth. Eye of the tiger. You are loved. You have friends in LRH. Duplicate it. Dissolve it. That's your power. You could be tone 40. And she's like, yeah, okay, thanks, Minkoff. Do you know how long it takes to kill off Lyme and brain inflammation? How long it would take to go away? Oh, 6 to 12 weeks. And then she asked him something else. I think she ignored it. Yeah, I used to eat dinner while watching Cubs. Can you recommend anything else for the mental problems? Did you do the CBD? Yeah, but it's not helping. What about amino acid? Amino acid for Lyme disease, I guess. Is there anything else for the mental problems? I'm really struggling with that part. This is the hardest part, to be acting insane when I'm not. I started neurofeedback today. I don't know what that means, but it's a Scientology thing, obviously. Oh, did you just finish your dinner? I didn't even eat. I came home. I was just trying to get ready, so I ate some cheese and crackers. But there's a text message. So you know, these are put right in the complaint. Oh, Amy had a good dinner. In one case, Minkoff contacted her. Feels like the brain inflammation or swelling or something. Is there something for the pressure? So, I mean, she's really hurting and asking for help. And, you know, we get this LRH, tone 40 nonsense. There's some text messages with the Scientologist, too. Okay, so I'll just go through this too. So this is one of the Scientology handlers. I think this person was actually sleeping in Whitney Mills' bed, and Whitney Mills was sleeping on the sofa. So at least one of them, if not more than one, moved in with her, from what I've gathered here. I wish it wasn't in my brain. It's so annoying that I have it's so bad mentally. The DFP, I think that's the person who's like in charge of you, wants me to come in for an interview. I said something really dumb on the phone. That's Whitney Mills saying that. And then the Scientologist says, oh, what did you say? Somebody should smile more, okay. Well, tone 40 didn't sound like a very smart thing to say to begin with, but I appreciate that style. Albertina told me there's an assist for someone that is really sick and to drop the body. I asked for that assist. And no one did anything. Yeah, they know you're desperate. Well, they knew or should have known, and they didn't do anything to save her. So the pleadings are, this is the amended complaint. It's fairly long. It's 58 pages, but then you've got those medical records, or the medical experts' opinions. This is like another 60, 70 pages. So that's what Whitney Mills has submitted. We still haven't really heard from Scientology except to ask for more time. So we'll see what the court does or what they say about that. But that's kind of the update here. You know, Minkoff is asking to make the case go away as to Minkoff and LifeWorks. It doesn't really look like they could be successful at all against Minkoff. They could have done a better job pleading the LifeWorks, but you know, because they talk about different employees, but they don't really mention who all the employees are. But Minkoff appears to be an employee, and he was working within the scope of his employment, and that may be enough. We'll see what the court says, but at least as to Minkoff, for sure, Scientology, you know, the case would go on no matter what. But they really didn't have any cases to, you know, the trial court's going to say, well, this is an extreme remedy that you're asking for, getting rid of this case. You know, you've got a woman who's deceased. How can we just throw that out? So what you need to do is show, you know, appeals court decisions or Supreme Court decisions where that supports you, that supports the idea of throwing out the case for various reasons. And in the cases that they cited, you know, we went through them, they didn't really support that. In one case, it actually said they didn't support throwing out the case. So that's the best they can do. If that's the best they can do, I don't think they're going to be very successful. And so that's what we have for right now. And I think we'll have more as the next few weeks maybe come in, you know, because Scientology is going to have to file an answer at some point. Probably get a response from Whitney Mills estate on this. I imagine what they want to do is, I would think, is they're trying to get a quick settlement from Minkoff and LifeWorks, and then use that to fight Scientology. That's what happened with Lisa McPherson. Somewhere in here, they actually mentioned that Lisa McPherson, that case settled for $100,000 with Minkoff. But I mean, that was 30 years ago too, I think. So you have to account for inflation. But okay, so paragraph 106. So that's in here too. There's a lot of interesting things to find in these pleadings. So this was one of the medical experts, this Dr. Berg. So they deviated. This is basically the case, right? They fell below the standard of care by conducting a differential diagnosis. Maybe Amy knows what that means, because I don't. And by failing to refer to a psychologist or a psychiatrist. And then one of the other experts said, yeah, my opinion that the Lyme disease and the benign ovarian cyst were red herrings in this case. The evidence shows that it was non-cancerous. Whitney Mills was more likely than not did not have Lyme disease. And so there's, like, this is not admitted evidence yet, but these medical experts, their opinions will be admitted. And ultimately, if the case went to trial, then someone would have to evaluate that versus whatever Minkoff comes up with. But that, you know, there's so much evidence here that it just seems like even before you read what Minkoff's attorneys are saying, it just seems unlikely that this is the kind of thing that gets thrown out. You know, at this stage, you throw out cases that aren't even cases, that there's no right to recover, but you've got some really good evidence that Minkoff screwed up. You've got a lady who's deceased. And so those are the main things. But even once you look at what Minkoff's attorneys say, they're going to put the case in the most favorable light for themselves, right? And the cases they cite don't really even help them. Oh, hey, Helgeir. Welcome in. So we did I don't know if anybody knows who this is. I actually don't know this name. JRP Scott. Let's put that out here one more time. That's our winner of a sign. And then Rika PDX is the kind of our runner-up if we don't hear from JRP Scott. We'll get Cubs to sign the sign. And yeah, there's a lot of evidence to indicate that this at least should go forward, right? And then you know, Minkoff is entitled to present his medical experts if he wants to do that. I think that they probably don't want to do it, but you know, maybe they just throw this against the wall, see if it works, and then they'll settle. I'm guessing that that's kind of what's going to happen, but I don't. You know, that's all we have. It's just, you know, what those documents say. So I don't know. Hopefully this is interesting for everyone. If so, you know, we'll do some more updates as more stuff comes out, either from the court or gets filed by the parties. So I don't really have anything else to give you for now. So I don't know if there's someone, Scooter Mom, is there someone where we can raid and send everybody? It's Friday night, so there's got to be some other live streams. But well, Amy, I know, unfortunately, there's some people who are desperate for the money. I mean, there's some lawyers need the money more than the litigants do. So, yeah, okay, all right, thanks, Style. Yeah, we'll keep following up, and you know, anyone that wants to check it out themselves, it's Pinellas County. You know, Minkoff couldn't even spell this correctly. Pinellas County, Florida. It's a circuit court, and this is the case number. And if you put that in, you know, that'd be obviously the only one. There probably aren't very many people named Whitney Mills, but it's a little bit easier to put the case number in. Oh, okay, about doctors. Thank you, Cubs. Thank you. All right, so I think we're going to end the stream. Thank you, everyone, for coming in and sharing this with me a little bit, and we could, you know, talk about other Scientology cases maybe as they come forward. So have a good weekend. Oh, okay, great. Yeah, so Dusty did one last night. I think he did a like a subscribe-a-thon kind of panel. Okay, see you later, Amy. Thanks for coming in. Good to see you. Yeah, JRP Scott is the big winner, but Rika PDX is the runner-up. So if we don't hear from JRP Scott, then Rika would be the winner. Yeah. Yeah, so that's it. Okay. Oh, that's Learning in 11. Okay. Thank you. I didn't know that. Yeah, sometimes people have, I don't know all the names. Okay, so JRP Scott equals learning. I saw someone type that, but I didn't know what that meant. I thought that was just like Laura FM's song. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Scooter Mom, for explaining that to me. I actually didn't know that. Okay, so we'll, try to reach out to Learning and Loving. So thank you very much. I'm going to end the stream now. Everyone have a good weekend. Channel since 2006. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, that's how about long I've had mine. Do you mean mine or Learning and Loving? I only started making videos about 5 years ago. I'm still trying to learn how to do it. Okay, night all. Thanks again, Scooter Mom, for being a great mod, helping me out. Appreciate it. Night.